Welcome to U-Certify CCSP Must Know Glossary Terms Part 2. Term FIPS 140-2. Definition: a federal standard for accrediting and distinguishing secure and well-architected cryptographic modules produced by private sector vendors who seek to have or are in the process of having their solutions and services certified for use in U.S. government departments and regulated industries. This includes financial services and healthcare that collect, store, transfer, or share data that is deemed to be sensitive, but not classified, i.e., secret/top secret.
Term firewall. Definition: a type of network device designed to allow only authorized traffic to cross through its interfaces. A DMZ is one part of a firewall.
Term generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP. Definition: an AICPA term for the industry standards that are also recognized by the courts and regulators, and that accountants and auditors must adhere to in professional practice. Many of these deal with elements of the CIA triad, but they also include aspects such as conflict of interest, client privacy, and so forth. Term geofencing. Definition: setting a boundary using GPS or other location awareness capabilities as part of an automation or management system. Geofencing is often used to limit where users can log in or when activities occur based on whether a device or user is inside or outside of a geographic region.
Term governance. Definition: the term governance relating to processes and decisions defines actions, assigns responsibilities, and verifies performance. The same can be said and adopted for cloud services and environments, where the goal is to secure applications and data when in transit and at rest. In many cases, cloud governance is an extension of existing organizational or traditional business process governance, with a slightly altered risk and control landscape.
Term Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, GLBA. Definition: a federal law enacted in 1999 by the United States to allow banks to own insurance companies, and vice versa. Included in its provisions are stipulations regarding the handling of customer information, largely involving privacy.
Term guest escape.
Definition: an attack in which the attacker is able to use one virtualized guest instance to access other virtualized instances on the same host and view, copy, or modify data stored there.
Term hardware security module, HSM. Definition: a device that can safely store and manage encryption keys used in servers, data transmission, log files, and so forth.
Term hashing. Definition: a process that transforms input data into fixed-length output using an algorithm that creates unique outputs for each given unique input. Hashes are designed to not create collisions, the same output for multiple inputs, and are often used to validate file integrity and as part of cryptographic processes. Term Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, of 1996. Definition: defines the national standards for electronic healthcare transactions and national identifiers for providers, health plans, and employers. Protected health information can be stored via cloud computing under HIPAA. Term heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, HVAC. Definition: HVAC systems provide air management that separates the cool air from the heat exhaust of servers. Many methods provide air management, including racks with built-in ventilation or alternating cold-hot aisles. The best design choice will depend on space and building design constraints.
Term honeypot. Definition: a honeypot consists of a computer, data, or a network site that appears to be part of a network, but is actually isolated and monitored, and that seems to contain information or a resource of value to attackers.
Term Host Intrusion Detection System, HIDS. Definition: monitors the inbound and outbound packets from the device only and will alert the user or administrator if suspicious activity is detected. Term hybrid cloud storage. Definition: a combination of public cloud storage and private cloud storage, where some critical data resides in the enterprise's private cloud, while other data is stored and accessible from a public cloud storage provider. Term: hybrid cloud. Definition: this cloud infrastructure consists of two or more distinct cloud infrastructures, private, community, or public, that remain unique entities but are bound together by standardized or proprietary technology that enables data and application portability, e.g., cloud bursting for load balancing between clouds. Term: hypervisor. Definition: a hypervisor, sometimes also called a virtual machine manager, is a program that allows multiple operating systems to share a single hardware host. These hypervisors come in two basic varieties. Type 1, which uses a minimal piece of software to manage the underlying hardware resources, such as RAM, CPU, and storage. Type 2, which has an operating system installed on the hardware and then the virtual machine manager software, or hypervisor, installed on the operating system. Term: Identity and Access Management, IAM. Definition: the security discipline that enables the right individuals to access the right resources at the right times for the right reasons. Term: Identity Provider. Definition: the entity that creates, manages, and maintains digital identity information for an organization or federation. Term: Identity Provider. Definition: an identity provider is responsible for A, providing identifiers for users looking to interact with a system, B, asserting to such a system that such an identifier presented by a user is known to the provider, and C, possibly providing other information about the user that is known to the provider. This can be achieved via an authentication module, which verifies a security token that can be accepted as an alternative to repeatedly and explicitly authenticating a user within a security realm. Term: information gathering. Definition: refers to the process of identifying, collecting, documenting, structuring, and communicating information from various sources in order to enable educated and swift decision-making to occur. Term: Information Security Management System, ISMS. Definition: a set of policies concerned with information security management, or IT-related risks. The ISMS arose primarily out of BS 7799. Term: Infrastructure as a Service, IaaS. Definition: a model of cloud computing that provides a complete infrastructure, e.g., servers and internetworking devices, and allows companies to install software on provisioned servers and control the configurations of all devices. Term: Infrastructure as Code, IAC. Definition: a design philosophy that focuses on using code to define and create infrastructure, allowing for rapid deployment, configuration changes using variables and configuration files, and similar programmatically driven advantages over traditional infrastructure implementation methods. Term: Integrity. Definition: one of the legs of the CIA triad, integrity ensures that data has not been altered by an unauthorized entity. Term: Interactive Application Security Testing, IAAST. Definition: uses monitoring inside of applications to test them while they are running. It leverages agents that monitor applications, looking for issues throughout them. Term: Internet Engineering Task Force, IETF. Definition: an international organization of network designers and architects who work together in establishing standards and protocols for the standardization of the Internet. Term: Internet of Things, IoT. Definition: a broad term used to describe Internet-connected devices that combine processors, sensors, and data in a connected way. The IoT is ubiquitous and can be challenging to secure due to the sheer number and variety of embedded and connected devices it is composed of. Term: Interoperability. Definition: defines the ease of ability with which application components are moved and reused elsewhere, regardless of the provider, platform, OS, infrastructure, location, storage, or the format of the data or APIs. Term: Intrusion Detection System, IDS. Definition: a security device or software that scans network traffic to detect and alert on unwanted or malicious traffic.
Term: intrusion prevention system. Definition: a security device or software that is placed in line to potentially detect, block, and alert on unwanted or malicious traffic. Term: ISO/IEC 27113. Definition: helps organizations establish and maintain an information security management system, ISMS. An ISMS is a set of interrelated elements that organizations use to manage and control information security risks and to protect and preserve the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information. Term: ISO IEC 27018. Definition: addresses the privacy aspects of cloud computing for consumers and is the first international set of privacy controls in the cloud. Term: ISO/IEC 27034-1. Definition: represents an overview of application security. It introduces definitions, concepts, principles, and processes involved in application security. Term: IDLE. Definition: IDLE, formerly known as the Information Technology Infrastructure Library, is a set of practices that focus on aligning IT services with business needs. Term: jurisdiction. Definition: the geographic area over which a law applies. Term: key management. Definition: includes the generation, storage, distribution, deletion, archiving, and application of keys in accordance with a formal security policy. Term: legacy. Definition: refers to traditional types of IT tools and technologies. Term: local area network, LAN. Definition: LANs are the backbone of infrastructure. They are logical groupings of devices that allow traffic to be contained and operate at high speeds. Term: logical design. Definition: a part of the design phase of the software development lifecycle, SDLC, in which all functional features of the system chosen for development in the analysis are described independently of any computer platform. Term: long-term storage. Definition: write once, read many, or WARM, is a type of long-term storage, meaning it is written initially and can only be used for reading purposes thereafter. Term: machine learning. Definition: a type of programmatic learning that allows programs to develop new behaviors or to respond to inputs in new ways over time. Machine learning is typically considered a subset of artificial intelligence. Term: managed service provider. Definition: an IT service provider to which the customer dictates both the technology and operational procedures. Term: management plane. Definition: administrative network used to provide access to back-end resources restricted to administrators. Term: masking. Definition: a weak form of confidentiality assurance that replaces the original information with asterisks or X's. Term: master service agreement. Definition: a document that describes how two organizations intend to work together over time. Work is then described in statements of work, SOWs. Term: maximum tolerable downtime, MTD. Definition: the longest amount of time that a business function is able to continue without access to a particular service. Term: mean time between failures, MTBF. Definition: MTBF represents the mean or average time between the time a device is brought into service and the time it will typically fail or require repair. Term: mean time to repair, MTTR. Definition: MTTR represents the average time required to repair a device that has failed or requires repair. Term: Microsoft Azure. Definition: a Microsoft cloud service offering that provides platform as a service, PaaS, allowing developers to create cloud applications and services. Term: mobile cloud storage. Definition: a form of cloud storage that applies to storing an individual's mobile device data in the cloud and providing the individual with access to the data from anywhere. Term: multi-factor authentication, or MFA. Definition:
A method of access control in which a user can pass by successfully presenting authentication factors from at least two of the three following categories: knowledge factors, things only the user knows, such as passwords; what the user has, security token; what the user is, biometric verification. Term: multi-tenancy. Definition: data center networks logically divided into smaller, isolated networks. They share the physical networking gear, but operate on their own network without visibility into the other logical networks. Term: Network Intrusion Detection System, NIDS. Definition: a device or software application that monitors networks or systems for malicious activities or policy violations and produces electronic alerts and/or reports to a management station. Term: NIST 800-123. Definition: NIST 800-123, titled Guide to General Server Security, assists organizations in understanding the fundamental activities performed as part of securing and maintaining the servers that provide services over network communications as a main function. Term: NIST 800-14. Definition: NIST 800-14, titled Generally Accepted Principles and Practices for Securing Information Technology Systems, provides a baseline that organizations can use to establish and review their IT security programs. Term: NIST 800-145. Definition: NIST 800-145, titled Definition of Cloud Computing, outlines both the cloud computing deployment and service models and their definitions. Term: NIST 800-146. Definition: NIST 800-146, titled Cloud Computing Synopsis and Recommendations, reprises the NIST-established definition of cloud computing, describes cloud computing benefits and open issues, presents an overview of major classes of cloud technology, and provides guidelines and recommendations on how organizations should consider the relative opportunities and risks of cloud computing. Term: NIST 800-53. Definition: NIST 800-53, titled Security and Privacy Controls for Federal Information Systems and Organizations, describes ways to ensure the proper application of appropriate security requirements and security controls to all U.S. federal government information and information management systems. Term: non-repudiation. Definition: the assurance that a specific author actually did create and sent a specific item to a specific recipient, and that it was successfully received. With the assurance of non-repudiation, the sender of the message cannot later credibly deny having sent the message, nor can the recipient credibly claim not to have received it. Term: obfuscation. Definition: the convoluting of code to such a degree that even source code is not easily decipherable. Term: object storage. Definition: objects, files, are stored with additional metadata, content type, redundancy required, creation date, etc. These objects are accessible through APIs and potentially through a web user interface. Term: online backup. Definition: online backups leverage the internet and cloud computing to create an attractive off-site storage solution with few hardware requirements for any business of any size. Term: Open Web Application Security Project, OWASP. Definition: the Open Web Application Security Project, OWASP, is a 501c3 worldwide not-for-profit charitable organization focused on improving the security of software. Term: OpenID. Definition: OpenID is one form of authentication used to enable SSO. It enables the user to log into more than one application or website using the same credentials. Term: Operational Level Agreement, OLA. Definition: a contract that defines how various IT groups within a company plan to deliver a service or set of services. Term: orchestration. Definition: in cloud computing, orchestration tools and systems are used to automate workloads and operations as part of business functions. Term: oversubscription. Definition:
Occurs when more users connect to a system than can be fully supported simultaneously.
Term: PASTA. Definition: the process for attack simulation and threat analysis is a 7-step risk-centric threat assessment model.
Term: Payment Card Industry Security Standards Council, PCI Council. Definition: the PCI Security Standards Council is a global forum for the ongoing development, enhancement, storage, dissemination, and implementation of security standards for account data protection. Term: penetration test. Definition: a test or attack designed to test systems or networks or web applications for vulnerabilities that would allow an attacker to gain control over said system, network, or application. Term: personal cloud storage. Definition: a form of cloud storage that applies to storing an individual's data in the cloud and providing the individual with access to the data from anywhere. Term: personal data. Definition: any information relating to an identified or identifiable natural person. Data subject: an identifiable person is one who can be identified, directly or indirectly, in particular by reference to an identification number or to one or more factors specific to their physical, physiological, mental, economic, cultural, or social identity. Term: personally identifiable information, PII. Definition: information that can be traced back to an individual user, such as your name, postal address, or email address. Personal user preferences tracked by a website via a cookie are also considered personally identifiable when linked to other personally identifiable information provided by you online. Term: platform as a service, PaaS. Definition: PaaS is a way for customers to rent hardware, operating systems, storage, and network capacity over the internet from a cloud service provider. Term: portability. Definition: a phrase used to describe the ability to move applications and associated data between one cloud provider and another, or between public and private cloud environments. Term: privacy level agreement, PLA. Definition: an agreement whereby the cloud provider states the level and types of personal data protections in place. Term: private cloud security. Definition: a private cloud implementation aims to avoid many of the objections regarding cloud computing security. Because a private cloud setup is implemented safely within the corporate firewall, it remains under the control of the IT department. Term: private cloud storage. Definition: a form of cloud storage where the enterprise data and cloud storage resources both reside within the enterprise's data center and behind the firewall. Term: private cloud. Definition: a private cloud infrastructure is provisioned for exclusive use by a single organization consisting of multiple consumers, e.g., business units. It may be owned, managed, and operated by the organization, a third party, or some combination of them, and it may exist on or off premises. Term: protected health information, PHI. Definition: as defined by DHHS, PHI is any information about health status, provision of healthcare, or payment for healthcare that is created or collected by a covered entity. Term: public cloud storage. Definition: a form of cloud storage where the enterprise and storage service provider are separate and the data is stored outside of the enterprise's data center. Term: public cloud. Definition: a public cloud infrastructure is provisioned for open use by the general public. It may be owned, managed, and operated by a business, academic, or government organization, or some combination of them. It exists on the premises of the cloud provider. Term: public key encryption. Definition: a form of public key infrastructure, PKI, is a framework of programs, procedures, communication protocols, and public key cryptography that enables a diverse group of individuals to communicate securely. Term: qualitative assessment, QA. Definition: QA typically employs a set of methods, principles, or rules for assessing risk based on non-numerical categories or levels, e.g., very low, low, moderate, high, very high. Term: quality of service. Definition: QoS refers to the capability of a network to provide better service to selected network traffic over various technologies, including frame relay, asynchronous transfer mode, ATM, Ethernet and 802.1 networks, SONET, and IP-routed networks that may use any or all of these underlying technologies. Term: quantitative assessment. Definition: quantitative assessments typically employ a set of methods, principles, or rules for assessing risk based on the use of numbers. This type of assessment most effectively supports cost-benefit analyses of alternative risk responses or courses of action. Term: quantum computing. Definition: in the context of the CCSP exam, it's possible that quantum computing could make current encryption technologies irrelevant, allowing near-instantaneous decryption of encrypted data. While a potential threat in the future, current quantum computing systems do not have this capability and are not expected to for quite some time to come. Term: record. Definition: a data structure or collection of information that is retained by an organization for legal, regulatory, or business reasons. Term: recovery point objective, RPO. Definition: the BCDR goal for limiting the loss of data from an unplanned event. Confusingly, this is often measured in time. Term: recovery service level, RSL. Definition: the proportion of a service, expressed as a percentage, that is necessary for continued operations during a disaster. Term: recovery time objective, RTO. Definition: the BCDR goal for recovery of operational capability after an interruption in service, measured in time. Term: reduced sign-on, RSO. Definition: not to be confused with single sign-on, SSO, or federated single sign-on. Reduced sign-on refers to not having to sign in to each piece of data or store once authorization has been granted. Term: redundant array of independent disks, RAID. Definition: instead of using one large disk to store data, you can use many smaller disks because they are cheaper. An approach to using many low-cost drives as a group to improve performance, yet also provides a degree of redundancy that makes the chance of data loss remote. Term: remote desktop protocol, or RDP. Definition: a protocol that allows for separate channels for carrying presentation data, serial device communication, licensing information, and highly encrypted data, keyboard and mouse activities. Term: representational state transfer, REST. Definition: REST relies on stateless, client-server, cacheable communications. It is a software architecture style consisting of guidelines and best practices for creating scalable web services. Term: request for proposal, RFP. Definition: an RFP is generally part of the initial vendor management process, when a company first asks vendors to reply with a proposal to meet some type of need. Term: restatement of second of law. Definition: the restatement of law refers to a situation where there is no such local legislative directive in a case. When no such factor exists, the factors relevant to the choice of the applicable rule of law are used. Term: return on investment, ROI. Definition: a term used to describe a profitability ratio. It is generally calculated by dividing net profit by net assets. Term: return point objective, RPO. Definition: a term used in BCP-DR to describe the maximum allowable amount of data that might be lost due to an outage before severe and usually unrecoverable consequences are experienced. The RPO is the point at which recovery becomes extremely difficult or even impossible. Term: return time objective, RTO. Definition: a term used in BCP/DR describing a point in time after which an outage has occurred, beyond which recovery becomes extremely difficult or even impossible. Thank you for watching. Learn more with UCertify.